Garden video, take one. Right here, you see a bunch of little apple trees I planted from seed. Had to put them in the fridge for several weeks for them to sprout. And there's some more. There's some corn plants that I put in a tray so that I would have enough in case some of the ones I planted in the garden didn't make it. Now these are actually from Tangelo seeds. They're little citrus plants, most of them. I think this might be another apple tree, or I'm not sure, possibly a pear. I had some of them last year that I saved. A few radishes. Little more little apple or Tangelo seeds right there. That's my sage plant starting to bloom. Been had that thing for about 7 years. I transplanted it twice and it's still going nuts. I put my cover bag on. Garden update, take 2. Okay, I stopped at my sage plant. What you see on the other side, that's lemon balm. It goes nuts and spreads like crazy. I planted one of my my oregano plant down there in the middle. I'll zoom in there. I planted that from last year. Bought it. Didn't grow from seed. Don't seem to have much luck with seed on that one. There's a potato plant that apparently one of the potatoes got left in the ground from last year. It sprouted. I had another one that sprouted. It got moved way over there in that bed. Because it was kind of out there where I had them beds put. All those beds are made from a torn down kids wooden jungle gym. Actually got 9 beds out of it. You got 2 back there, 1 there, 3 there, 2 more there, and 1 over there against the garage. And those 2 and that one are plastic ones I bought several years ago. What I have here is tomatillo, and I think that's probably a radish in the cup next to it. Several tomato plants. I've already given away a bunch, planted a bunch, planted some in my brothers and sisters. I still have some. I got some herbs and a few other things growing in these pots. I think celery's in one of them. Can't remember everything, but I think that's a sage plant that I transplanted right there. That's some garlic chives or onions, I don't recall which. Some more lemon balm in that cup. Another citrus. More lemon balm, and another citrus. I think that's another tomatillo. Maybe not. Might be something else. Don't know right now. More tomatoes. More tomatoes. More tomatoes. Think I got enough tomatoes. More chives. More lemon balm. That should be a tomatillo, I'm pretty sure. in the corner. A couple more peppers. I think there might be some more scattered through here. Not sure what that is. I think it just seed got dropped in there. But that bed has sweet potatoes that I planted from slips off of a couple of sweet potatoes we bought from the store. And in front of it is a bush bean that has not sprouted yet. And in the corner there, in the corner over there, some pepper plants, I think. Well, I think that corner plant. I guess it's not that corner. It's just these two. Right there and there. This one, I had peas planted along the front. There's a tomato in the middle. Pepper plant in that corner, pepper plant in that corner. I have beets on this side of the bed, and I don't recall what's on this side. Might be more beets. Thought there was something else though, I can't recall. That's a plant that Dad brought home a couple of years ago. I transplanted it this year. That's a mix hodgepodge of a basil plant, several wild flowers. That one I think was dug out of the yard. That's a forget-me-not, blue flowers. There's some cilantro. Pepper plant in the middle, already got little blooms, no peppers started. Tomatillo, I think, again. And in the middle, I cannot recall what I planted there. But something's coming up. I got a strawberry where somebody threw a strawberry down. Apparently it's growing on the side. It's starting to spread. That's another little pepper plant. These are all bell peppers, by the way. Another bell pepper. Tomato. Bell pepper. Bell pepper. Sweet potato slip. Sweet potato slip. Radishes in the middle. All the little ones, that's carrots. In the whole bed. There's also beans that I planted around the cage, and so far I don't see too many of them come out, but it's only been a few days. Here's another bed. I had planted a tomatillo there, but it croaked or something got it. And that's a pepper. Bugs are eating it up. Same with that one. And this bed has parsnips planted in it. Apparently the whole bed. And then I got some onions around the tomato, which does have a couple of blooms. And there's also beans or peas, or both, planted along the outside edge. I think that's a pea. But there's another pepper. This bed is loaded with radishes. Those rows that you see all green. In between the radishes are some potato plants. Get a close view of that. I actually had 3 in each open row there. There's also a basil plant here. It's supposed to help with bugs, fighting the bugs. Another potato. This is red potatoes, by the way. Another bed here. That would be the potato we moved that was over here. It's a red potato. That's a radish that came up from last year. It's going to seed. I got onions and garlic in this bed. The big ones are the garlic, they're going to seed. The little ones are onions. Here's another view of the peas. They're starting to come out. The trellis behind them that they're going to climb. Basically a piece of fencing. What I made all my tomato cages out of, the same fencing. I bought a roll several years, probably about 7 years ago, and I'm still using it up. I've given a bunch of them away. That's the sweet potatoes again. Another little pepper plant. One over there. And one there. One in this corner got eaten or died. Find a hit of it. Now this one's the one with the spinach on this side. So you see the green stuff coming up. And on this side is kale, the little green ones. And I also planted beans and seeds around the outside of this one as well. On all these cages where the tomatoes are, I did that. There was a tomato in here, something got it too. This one has lettuce in the back rows, cabbage in the front rows. Like I said, it did have a tomato in the middle, and I planted beans and peas around this one too. So these are your little cabbages. You have to start thinning them out. Lettuces, same thing. Got to thin them out. There's also a tomato here that's gone. Of course, I got plenty of them to replace it with. Back half is eggplant. Not sure which of these are eggplants. Maybe that one. Hard to tell. But there's several popping through. And the front half is okra. I think that's what these little anemic looking ones are. Not getting a lot of sun light right now. It's a tongue twister. Hey, you see these little metal stakes or poles or rods, or whatever you want to call them, sticking up? There's one. Each one of those, there's pumpkin seeds planted. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. I believe I planted some watermelon seeds in there too. And if you step back, this whole section from where these boxes start or end over to where the edge of the sidewalk starts, about 4 rows, leaving just enough path to get between there and the boxes down through here, all the way to the fence nearly, is corn. And they were planted a little over a week ago, maybe closer to 2 weeks. And a little hard to spot in this wood chips for this back to Eden garden. See if I can find a spot where I can see my foot. There we go. That should be one of the corn plants popping up. Something seems to be getting at them already. Probably in another week or two you'll be loaded with them. Can't see too many of them right now. Some kind of wildfire goes all over the place. The bees love it. So I leave it wherever I can. And this is a strawberry patch. You can see blooms on some of it. This was planted last year from seed. Bought the strawberries, separated the seeds from them, planted them inside and brought them outside and planted them. And now they're spreading over this bed. I've also planted some marigolds and some wildflowers in some of these beds to try to help attract bees to them. I think there was something else in here, but I can't remember. Too many plants. Okay, here we got another tomato in the middle. This side is green zucchini squash, which are now popping through, putting out those big old massive leaves. I think there was like 3 seeds in each corner of this side, 3 seeds in each corner of that side, but those ones haven't come up yet. Apparently they take a few more days. And see in that corner there, did not plant that, that's wild poke plant, which is where they get poke salad. And there's some more, and it's wild, all that's wild. We're going to try to collect some seeds from it this year. Me and Dad's already ate some of it out of the garden on the other side of the yard. It's actually pretty good. Put it in some cornmeal batter and fry it. Whoa. And more poke. The poke salad. These are what's left of our tulips. They're starting to dry up and drop their petals all over the place. These were here when we moved here. It's orange poppies. They grow in the neighbor's yard and in our yard. Did not plant those. There's a bunch of them here still haven't popped out. You see right there is a little rose bush. I dug that up, roots and all, moved it, and it's growing back already on its own from a piece of root that got stuck and left into the ground. Very aggressive little grower there. Not sure what kind of wild plant that is. It might be burdock. We tried some burdock that was growing over here last year. Fried it up. It was all pretty good too. Let's see. There's another little corn plant right there. It went all the way to the edge with it. That's pretty much it. Other than right here, some more tomatoes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And all along here are also some peas. They're peas and beans, or just beans, I can't recall which, but there's a little one popping through the ground right there. Pretty sure that's a bean. course, we've got these onions that are growing wild from previous years. Another one. We can try to get you. We moved this plant here. See it? It's a lilac bush, or I think it's a lilac bush. Moved it from next to that tree right there, so we have a little bit more room to plant. But this is kind of a one end to the other, the garden. And a dogwood and a redbud. Dogwood's on the left, redbud's on the right. And there's the rest of the plants, the rest of the garden. There's another few on the right I'll get you here in a second. These are pieces of sticks and stuff that we cut off these trees over time, saving as firewood if we ever decide to have a fire. And that's the old fence we tore down. Dad's cut it up as firewood as well. Right here's the one bed I just planted several days ago. It was a Saturday. I've had cauliflower, fennel. It's either fennel or kohlrabi. Mustard greens. I say cauliflower. And broccoli. And I've got the boards to keep the birds away till they have time to sprout. Over here, you see the fence I got tied up there. I made some string to finish it out because I didn't have a long piece enough to make up the difference. All along here is beans. No, not beans, cucumbers. That little green thing there, and there's several in the yard. You probably saw the one on in the back. Those are to scare cats away, to keep them from doing their dirty work in the yard, the garden. We had beans planted back here last year. We might do that again. Don't know. I planted right at the corner of that fence. Planted some catnip. Here's Mr. Squirrel sneaking down the pole. I already caught one today and sent him across the river to his new home. Keep him out of my garden, keep him from eating my plants. I know they're the ones eating some of them. Those are daylilies or some similar name. They haven't produced their stalks and flowers yet. That's a crepe myrtle. We had to cut it down last year because most of the branches died. And these are some kind of lily. I can't recall the name of them. The tall ones get about 8 feet tall. Smaller ones get about 5 to 6 feet tall. There's some more poke salad. Poke for the poke salad. It's just growing all over the place. There's a whole bunch of them little flowers. They come in bulbs. You plant the bulbs, and the ones for those big flowers, those are right now about the size of a softball because I had to move them from over here where the new fence you see is up so that we didn't trample all over them. I moved them and transplanted them over here. These are peonies, as my dad and mom always called them pineys. I think it's a Tennessee pronunciation. That's some of the bulbs getting ready to sprout. There's red, I think, and pink. I don't know if there's a white. I think there's a white. Can't remember. But there's one there, 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 and there. And there's one really close to blooming. That's a little miniature rose that my brother Terry got Mom years ago for one of her birthdays or Mother's Day or something. It's one of our little stands for flowers. There's another one over there. Two of them. This is where I moved all those lily plants from the back behind this green and white plant, which I can't recall the name of. That's a tea rose right there, some color, I think. I can't remember if that's a blue or pink. That's a plant that Dad brought home one year, and it's been transplanted a couple times. That rose bush you see, which is a little bit hacked up right now, is a knockout bush. Dark pink flowers. And back there you see another crepe myrtle. Didn't think that was going to make it this year. It stayed bare boned up until like a week and a half ago. There's a lilac bush in the front, but I can't get it from here and the gate's locked. We did that to keep people from getting in the yard and stealing stuff. Tired of losing things out of the yard, which we've been doing. And a grill stolen. A fire pit stolen. He just dumped all the ashes out of it and took it. But they're going to have a harder time now. Because not only is there a lock on the front gate to this backyard, there's a chain and a lock on the back. But that's pretty much it. Patio type area. That's my cave I've been catching the squirrels and cats in. Take the cats on the other side of the river too and let them go in a farm area. Sage bush right there. Good stuff. Y'all need to grow your garden. Save you a lot of money at the grocery store. Sign out. Bye. Garden update. July 18th, 2016. Those are some of my unplanted seed starts. Got some corn. Those are nectarine and citrus, tangelos, apple trees, pear trees from seed, store-bought fruit. The sage bush. Hard to tell, but that's oregano. Some kind of weed popping up in the middle of it, and that's lemon balm. I cut that down to the ground and it grew back. It's one of my potato plants that actually volunteer. There's one on the inside and one on the outside of that bed. Some more seed starts. Like some squirrels or something's been in there knocking stuff over. Still got some tomatillos, some tomatoes, even some with tomatoes on the tomato plant. This bed is basically has some beans in it, but it's mostly sweet potatoes. I only planted the right half of that bed, but now the whole bed's covered with them. And beyond that, it's my lettuce, a few cabbage plants I transplanted. Beyond that, you can see the okra. I had tried to plant some eggplants behind it, but they didn't come up. This bed is basically spinach on the right, kale on the left, tomato in the middle. This one I planted peas along this fence, but most of them didn't make it. I do have some cabbage plants. There's a couple pepper plants in here. Tomato plant in the middle. There's Mr. Possum that I caught. Gonna take him out later and let him go across the river. He's not happy. This is a pot I normally just put herbs in, but I got a tomatillo growing in. It's way up here. That's basil. It's gone to seed. Here's some parsley or cilantro, one of the two. And there's actually a gone to seed now, but it was a wild mustard green, that my volunteer mustard green. These are tomatoes that are all over this. Believe it or not, that is one single tomato plant, I believe, right in the middle, but it's growing up all over this thing. That big bushy thing right there, that's carrots. That's just a plant Dad brought home. It's been transplanted. There's another big pepper plant. That's banana peppers. Another banana pepper back there. It's got some peppers on it. I already harvested some off of that one. It's just a weed right there. Another sweet potato plant inside that pot. It's going crazy. It's some kind of wild flower plant weed. That is dill. It's starting to go to flower. This whole area is kale. It's all over this half of the bed. And that's a cherry tomato, black cherry tomato. One plant again. That's the one I tried to show you before. That's got beets on this side. Some pepper plants down there. Cabbage. A few beans. Big tomato plant. You still see one pea growing up there. Barely. Right there. That's some kind of wildflower there. Okay, this is where the spinach was planted. There's not much left of that. Ooh, check out the spider. That is wicked. Ugly too. He's catching a lot of the bugs that's in my garden. I'll let him survive. Again, that's some beans and mostly sweet potato vines. That's my lettuce going to seed. I'm supposed to produce heads, but I don't think I've got one head off of it. It just immediately went to seed. And then there's some cabbage plants. Looks like they're starting to head. That's okra. Starting to get some okra on it. That was supposed to be eggplant, but none of those came up. There's one of the bird feeders I put out. for hummingbirds. I do have some hummingbirds visiting those feeders, at least the one. I have some video of that I'll put up. I've got to put up still. But there's actually 2 feeders there. There's one right there. Although I've not seen any hummingbirds around that one. That's a wild weed type plant. It looks kind of like a sunflower, but it's not a sunflower. And that is a tomatillo. And there's actually potatoes in there, and also I think a tomato maybe. This is onions volunteers from last year gone to seed. The white flowers are from radishes that are going to seed. Some of this might be garlic. It smells like onion to me. Getting bit like crazy with mosquitoes. More radishes gone to seed. But there's poke plant, poke for poke salad. Another pepper plant there. Big old tomato plant in that one. Oh, and check it out. This is the corn. Last time I videoed this, it was a half a dozen, maybe a couple dozen corn plants, about 6 inches high. And now it's over 6 feet high. Most of it's tasseled already. Starting to get some ears showing up. There's one that's about 6 inches long. They're not getting real big yet, so I don't know whether they're just not time for them or whether they're slow. They're not going to grow. I'm getting bit up, so I'm going to try to make this quicker. That's one of my squash plants that came up. Squash or pumpkin, I'm not sure right now. I think it's squash, although it looks like it might be vining. More cabbages transplanted in the previous bed. Oh yeah, children of the corn, beware. This is one big long row of corn. Is that the whole length of the garden, the back part? Strawberries. I got maybe a dozen or so strawberries out of this bed. I planted them 2 years ago. Another cabbage plant. There's a zucchini squash. Dad pulled off one. Looks like we got another one. There's some still blooms coming. And over there is some yellow squash, which I've yet to see anything come off of. I've seen blooms, but I haven't seen any squash. Cherry tomatoes, black cherry tomatoes. Big old black cherry tomato plant. Oh, there, spoke too soon. Our first yellow squash. First one I've seen. More tomato plants. More views of the end of the corn. Corn is somewhat impressive, although the ears aren't. There's some beans. Some of them are pole beans, some of them apparently are bush because they're not growing up. At least not yet. And there are some beans on them. That's some compost right there. More compost. Looks like Dad's been doing some weed and he's chopped down some burdock. Or some poke salad. You can see all the pollen dropping. So it's trying to pollinate the corn. This is another bed. These are potato plants. These are red potatoes. Planted from true potato seeds. That's a big old basil plant going to flower. Big old tomato plant I planted in here. Another one. Actually, that one was a volunteer. And there's beans. And some of the beans are climbing. This is outside the main garden. More cabbage. Here's one that's really starting to go. Dad just put that tomato in there. I believe it's supposed to be this first one here. That's Swiss chard. I think, I'm not sure exactly what that was. It might have been, I'm not sure. I think that was supposed to be Brussels sprouts. It looks kind of like a cabbage. I can't really remember what I put in here. A little pepper plant. That's a volunteer mustard green. No, not volunteer. That's one that's going to seed. They planted mustard greens in this end. More cabbage. Tell I got a lot of cabbage. Dad transplanted that squash plant on that one. It's my cucumbers. Cucumber wall. Been picking a few off of that. Right now I don't see any on it. Lots of blooms. Tomato plant. There's also a radish in there that's going to seed. You know, typically when you see that pattern of tomatoes, it's a cherry tomato. And when you see it spread out like this, it's a vining tomato, which means it's usually what they call indeterminate. It just keeps growing until the weather tells it to stop. That's one of our crepe myrtles. Had to cut it down a couple of years ago because most of it died. There's the burdock where the poke salad got overgrown going to flower. Dad cut it down. That's another tomatillo. There's a little tomato in there. Of course, the bird feeder. Another tomatillo. Going nuts. Those are all plants that are planted from bulbs. I moved them from down there. There's the peony bushes. They're red and white. Another tomatillo. We planted a melon in there, but it didn't take. Something got it. It's a miniature knockout rose. Terry got that from Mom on her birthday or Mother's Day one year. Used to be here, now it's over there. Those are some tea roses that been transplanted 2 or 3 times. They keep taking off. That's actually a hosta Dad brought home. It's been moved a couple of times. And there's a knockout rose. Down there That's the other crepe myrtle. These are mostly radishes that are going to seed. I got enough seed there to plant the entire garden in just radishes. Actually planted by seed some asparagus, but unless I'm mistaken, it doesn't produce asparagus first year, maybe not even the second year. Just produces some leaves apparently. That's a old succulent plant Dad brought home, planted there. There's some peas that don't seem to be doing that good. Looks like I'll get a few seeds off of it. These are actually wild garlic that we pulled up along the fence and transplanted here. There's about 4 plants. I'll be taking the seeds off of those, trying to grow them myself. Again, the bird feeders. I have seen, like I said, a hummingbird buzzing around that and got some video of that. And here's another view of the garden, different angle. And like I said, it goes way back. And that's about all the mosquito bites I can take, so I'm signing off. Thanks.